Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm Joel, here with Dads.
And I'm Rick. Glad you're with us today, and glad we're together too. What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, so we're kind of focusing this whole year on talking about different mountains we got to conquer. And I was thinking about the idea of vision today and how, there are certain people that kind of seem more visionary than others. Like they've got this clear goal of where they want to get to. And I think when I was in my teens, I was that way. I was very driven by, I want to get to a certain place. I thought I knew where I wanted to go, but I didn't necessarily know. But I always had this drive to go in a certain direction. And I would be baffled by people that were my age that really didn't have a drive or vision. I'm like, oh, they just must be afraid or whatever. Mm-hmm. So then I write this book about vision about 10 years ago, Vision Map. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, everybody's going to want to read this, but I could not believe how many people I came across that were just like, I don't think in those terms of vision. And I started thinking, what's wrong? Something's wrong with those people. Clearly, they're not going to get anywhere in life. But the older I get, the more I'm going, maybe we're not all called to be visionaries. So I wanted to talk today about this idea of, are we all called to have a vision, like a clear vision of what we're supposed to do and to move towards that? Or if we were all truly visionaries, would we just kill each other, running each other over, trying to get our vision accomplished? But I'm wondering if there's maybe a percentage of the population that are called to be visionaries, but then there's also something in me that says a vision is simply a picture of what the future could look like. And everybody ends up somewhere in life. Some people get there on purpose. Those who get there on purpose are those who have some directions and some goals they're moving towards. You, though, are not one that has been necessarily a goal-driven person. You would not have imagined where you are today. We're sitting in the offices here of Commissioned Every Nation's huge missions agency that kind of emerged from something you wanted,
just grew.
You were trying to avoid doing, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk from your angle. Again, I think my angle's right, but it worked for you.
Yeah.
So do you think everybody's supposed to have a vision for their life?
Well, first of all, when you're talking about everybody being a visionary, then that just reminds me of the old saying, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. If everybody's the leader, somebody's got to be along doing the grunt work, you know?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who love doing that stuff, and so they don't need to necessarily be out there deciding where the goals are and everybody piloting their own little boat. It's like the freeway where nobody uses the express or the the high occupancy vehicle lane because everybody's in their own little car, driving their own little car, going to work.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the other thing goes, what do you think about this? It kind of seems to me that everybody does have a vision for their life.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It may be short term, like, man, I'm going to have a good time this weekend.
Yeah, that's living for the weekend, right?
Yeah, living for the weekend. So the question is, how long term is the vision, and is it really worth giving your life to? Like, is it worth giving your life to having a great weekend? Well, I had a great weekend. I'll have another one next weekend. Is that really worth? So what happens when? I don't know. What happens when? What's the guy says? So what are you going to do? I'm going to get this. I'm going to get a job. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to make a lot of money. What are you going to do? Then I'm going to retire. Then what? And he goes, oh, well, then I'm going to enjoy my retirement. Then what? Well, I guess I'm going to die. Then what? And that's really the bottom line. Then what? I think the only vision really worth living for is an eternal one. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what it's been with me. Do I have a vision? Yeah, the vision is to cross the finish line, run that race well, and cross the finish line still running as fast as I can or as hard as I can.
I wonder if some people even think about that, though. Like, if you're in survival mode, you're probably just thinking about, like, how can I make it and provide? So I was going to bring that up. Like, is a vision something that helps you get out of survival mode? Because I've been thinking about that too. I'm like, okay, because I work with a lot of people that I'm like, man, their vision is just get off of drugs.
Yeah.
Which is a great vision.
Yeah.
That to me is like the starting point of getting yourself back on level ground to even go from there.
Yeah.
But they have a vision. They wouldn't call it that. They're just trying to, fight off their demons. But that's a vision.
Maslow's thing, I got to get this taken care of before I can even worry about that one.
Yeah, I mean, he does talk about that.
I got food and make sure I'm.
Yeah, and when it was all done with Maslow, he wrote this basically Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think we all studied it in high school at this point. Is you have these basic needs and you go up higher and higher into these more existential things, and ultimately, like, this transcendent person has this is able to think about higher things because self-actualized. Yeah. That was the word. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Is that is self-actualization, it sounds so zen, but is self-actualization?
No, I don't think that's it. Because again, so what do you got? Then you have an actualized self. I actually realize what I am. I'm a mess. I don't like what I actually am.
Okay, but I mean, yes, but also it's realizing more and more of who God made you to be, and you can't realize that until you've got a safe place to build from, right?
Yeah. And so that's what when you're talking about a vision, and you're talking about a guy his vision is to get off of drugs. That's awesome, man. And that needs to be, you need to give your whole heart to that, because you're not going to succeed if you're not giving everything to it.
Yeah.
But then once you're there,
and it's definitely worth committing your life to, like you said. Is that worth committing a long-term effort to?
Yeah. I must stay off it. This is my lifetime commitment. So then when you're there, it can progress, but that. You got to take that first step. You can't run to second base until you first touch first base.
Right.
You can, but you're going to be thrown out. You're out.
Yeah, so that's right. That's not legal.
Yeah, that's not right. You can't run straight to it.
Yeah.
I got a double. Because and that's the way it is in life too. That's a great vision, man. That is a great vision. And then when you get there, you don't even need to be worrying about anything else. Well, later I'm going to go to law school. Let's just get sober first.
Right. But sometimes having a bigger vision than yourself helps you get off.
That's true.
I think a lot of times you need something beyond yourself. That's what Paul says. So we don't fix Paul says, so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen, because what is seen is temporary. What is unseen is eternal. In a way, when you're fixing your eyes on the eternal, like you said, when you die, that gives you something greater to live for in many ways.
Well, and that's, the scripture we quote quite often in Proverbs, where it talks about where there is no vision.
Yeah.
People dwell carelessly, perish,
cast off restraint.
Cast off restraints. I love the Spanish. It says, se desenfrenado, which means they live without brakes.
Yeah.
And so, when you don't have a vision, but you see, now that would be a pretty hard vision. That would be a pretty solid vision. I'm going to get off of drugs, man. So therefore you live within restraints. I don't go there. I don't go there. I don't hang out with these people. And that's what that's talking about. Where there's a vision, I'm going to go toward that. Right. And maybe one beyond that would be good, but that's enough for right there.
So if somebody, here's another thing I think too. Some people say, well, vision is a thing for leaders. But obviously, leaders are just people who have influence over others, and we've all got influence over us. If you're a parent, you're a leader.
Yeah.
So what is it? You had a vision for us as kids. It was a little abstract. I want them to serve God with their whole heart.
Yeah.
But when you've got a vision like that, it helps you know what to say yes and what to say no to.
Yeah.
When you know this is what I want, and so when I see the TV is taking away from my children's spiritual growth, I know it's time to remove the TV, which you did at one point. We came home. Where's the TV? It was gone. You're like, I got rid of it. I was like,
it got raptured.
Okay, I guess we're going to be going TV-less now. But you saw it was distracting not only, you said it was distracting you too. You and me. But it's interesting when you've got that vision, a clear picture, you kind of know what you need to take out, because you're like, this isn't feeding into that vision, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think everybody in some ways does have to have a vision, at least a picture of the future. And maybe that's where the word needs to be demystified.
Yeah.
A vision is simply a picture of what the future could look like. And a lot of times we can't have a vision if we never had it modeled for us.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where I say I kind of think everybody sort of does have some kind of a vision. And it's just whether is it long term or is it short term? Is it like I got to get a new car. That's my big goal. I want to get this car. Or I want to get that. Or I want to, and it may be something material. And that's what I say. The question is it worth living for? Is it worth investing your life in? Because you only go around once. It's no dress rehearsal.
And I guess that defines what I have a lot of people come to me. They're like, I've got this vision. I just don't know if it's from God. A God-given vision is going to be something that glorifies Him and lifts other people up. I mean, it's just the bottom line, because people are the point with Him. And so it's going to be something that glorifies Him while also raising up other humans.
Yeah.
So if your vision doesn't have to do with that, maybe it's not really a vision. If your vision is to get the newest car every year that it comes out, maybe that's not actually a good vision. So I was thinking about that too. Like a good vision, if you'll know it's from God, is if it's in some way blesses people and honors God with your life.
Yeah.
And that's where there are a lot of people who think they have a vision, but really what they have is just desires, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd go with that. So, So, but again, I think, you would at least have those desires. At least everybody kind of wants to go somewhere in their life. It's not like a long-term, you want to be happy, you want to be successful. It may be very ethereal like that.
Right.
Oh, I'd like to get married someday. You may not have the ideal house that you want, a little picket fence, and you have this picture of all that. But you probably have some kind of, but the question is, again, is it worth investing in? And I don't, like you say, I haven't really been that specific in any visions I wanted. My vision was, it basically comes down to this. When I met the Lord, I said, okay, if this God thing is real and life is just a blip and eternity is like endless, and what happens and where I end up and what goes on in eternity is determined by what I do during this blip, then what I do here then serving God here is the only thing that matters. If it's what determines the long eternity, then only thing that matters on this blip is it's only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for God will last. And so that's always been my goal, is just whatever it takes, God, whatever you want.
So is a vision of pleasing God enough?
I think it has been for me, because then, see, everything else grows out of that then. Okay, so a vision of pleasing God has to do with, well, I want my kids to serve the Lord too.
Yeah.
I want to marry a woman who's interested in serving Jesus with me, who's interested in serving God. So everything else, that's like the foundation, and everything else grows out of that. So having that produces this and produce that. And as you said, okay, so my vision is to serve God. Do I have the invite? I want to marry a woman who's this tall with this color hair or that. No, I just want a woman who's going to serve God with me and run the race with me. Do I care what my kids do? I want my kids to be doctors or lawyers or this, that. No, I want my kids to serve God. So out of that foundation of my whole vision and whatever God does with me, I don't care as long as it's going to bring honor to Him.
Yeah.
That's my vision.
Which, and I mean, so that makes...
It works for me.
And it works too, I believe, for me, because the reality is there have been certain times in life where I knew clearly what I needed to do. Like when I was supposed to start the outdoor adventure thing, I knew that was like a clear thing for me. That's when I came up with the vision map idea, where you take the black marker and you write out everything you can do to move towards the vision. And then you take a red marker and you write everything that you're going to need God to come through for you on. And at the top, you've got this thing you're going towards. There are going to be times in life, I think, when God gives us a very specific vision, a calling to do something. But I remember times that I've talked to you and I'm like, Dad, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I remember one time you told me something, I think it was St. Augustine said, he said, love God and do as you please, for the heart trained in love to God will do nothing to offend the beloved. And at first that was offensive to me. I'm like, do whatever I please. I'll do something crazy. But really, if you're seeking God, it's that delight yourself in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. He plants those desires in your heart, and what you're seeking is what He wants for you, even if you aren't exactly sure what you're seeking. If you're seeking Him as the highest good, seeking first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, that's where you may not have a specific call, but the call is always to do what's going to honor God in this moment. And then there may be something that He says, here's a specific way I've crafted you. We did that episode on calling. Here's a specific way I've crafted you, prepared you with personality for a specific thing. And I think every one of us in our life have at least one moment in our life where there's something He puts in front of us that we were specifically, your moment was the mission, right? Mm-hmm. You were specifically crafted to lead this unique organization that there's nothing like it out there. And nobody else, I think, but you could have led something like that. Because you're not like here's what we do. This organization is about, what do you do? Let us help you. And that's the difference with it, right? Yeah,
that's sums it up pretty clearly.
Which is where this thing of you had a specific call, and that was maybe your greatest call. And I think there are moments in our life where God calls us to do one specific, and maybe a couple times in life, one specific thing.
Here's the other crazy thing, though. There were several other times where I felt this definitive call, but each one of those, I didn't know it was preparing me for the next one. And so I felt a specific call here, and I'm up here and I'm doing this. I'm going, boy, I'm like butting my head against the wall here, and I don't feel like I'm making any progress at all. But looking back, I go, had I not done that, I wouldn't have been prepared to do this. And had I not done that, I wouldn't have been prepared to do this. So many times along the road, there will be those distinct calls. And you may not understand it because you may get into it and you go, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Right.
This isn't really fitting me. It's not really
And that's where when you have a specific vision, things like my book Vision Map are helpful. But a lot of times people are like, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, then the book might not be that helpful for you. It's when you've got a specific call and you don't know what to do. But otherwise, it really does kind of come to that love God and do as you please. You've told me that before. You're like, well, sometimes God gives you a specific call. Sometimes he's like, do whatever you want. I'll bless it.
Yeah. You want to go to the right? That's good. You want to go left? That's good. You want to walk straight down the line? I'll go with you either way because I love you and it's all about you and me being together, not about what you do.